Alright, so today we're going to be doing two-step equations. So our one-step equations took one step, so our two-step equations are going to take 2 steps. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set up my page. So to do that, I'm going to cut my page in half, straight across the middle. Just like so. And before we get into our 2 steps, this is where we're going to get into our 2-step equations right here. We're going to do a little bit of review. So let's start with some quick review. So let's review one step, when it takes one step to solve the problem. So let's look at our first example. And pause it right here if you need a few minutes to get your notebook set up. So our first example is m plus 12 equals 10. Now remember, we draw a line to separate our sides, and whatever I do on one side, I got to get to the other. And we want to get m by itself, so here's m. And positive 12 or plus 12 is on the side with it. So to get rid of a plus 12, I do the opposite and subtract 12 from both sides. 12 minus 12 goes away. 10 minus 12, change opposite, gets me to negative 2. Okay. Let's try another one. Negative 7y equals negative 91. A number and a letter touching means multiplication. To undo multiplication, we must divide. Negative 7 divided by negative 7 is 1. I'm left with y. But whatever I did to one side, I got to do to the other side. Okay? So I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to do some division. 91 divided by 7. 7 can go into 9 one time, with 2 left over, and 7 can go into 21 3 times. So I get 13, and a negative divided by a negative is a positive 13. Our last one-step example, negative 2 equals g minus 9. Remember, you can pause this video at any time you need to. We separate our sides. With g, I have a minus 9. The opposite, or the inverse operation of a minus 9, is a plus 9. Negative 2 plus 9. My signs are different, so I subtract to get 7 for my answer. Good job. Now there's one other thing I would like to review, because we will need these skills before our 2 steps, and that is how to get rid of problems with a fraction. And remember, to get rid of a fraction coefficient, so the number with the variable, we are going to multiply by the, and our vocabulary word was the reciprocal, which was just the flip. So we're going to do 2 of these examples. Okay? So our next example is 2/3 x equals 10. To get rid of the fraction, we must multiply by the reciprocal. So since that's so close to my number there, I'm going to rewrite it and separate my sides. So the reciprocal means the flip. So instead of 2 over 3, I multiply by 3 over 2. And everything cross cancels down. And I'm left with just x. But if I do it to this side, I got to do it to that side. So remember, we multiply fractions. We make it over 1 and see if there's anything I can simplify. 2 becomes a 1. The 10 divided by 2 is 5. And I multiply straight across to get x is 15. Now I want you to try this next one on your own. -6/5 k equals 12. So pause it right here and try it on your own. When you're ready, push play. Alright, so I have a fraction coefficient, two numbers touching as multiplication, or two letters. So we flip it. 5/-6. These go away, that goes away. I'm left with just k. But whatever I do on one side, I've got to do to the other. So multiply by 5/6, -6. The 6 becomes a -1. The 12 becomes a 2. -6 divided by 6 is 1. 12 divided by 6 is 2. So if you forgot how to cross simplify, 2 times 5 is 10. 1 times -1 is -1. Then we must simplify. 10 divided by -1 is -10. So k equals -10. So that is a review. We are going to need those skills for our two-step equations. So now at the bottom, I'm going to write our two steps. So one step, we just undid the operation, whatever it was, with the inverse. So in two steps, first we must undo the addition or subtraction. That's our first step. And secondly, we must undo the multiplication and division. Okay? So pause it right here to get your rules down if you need to. And push play when you're ready. And we're going to divide this section into 4 boxes. Alright, so our first problem is 6x plus 8 equals 50. 6x plus 8 equals 50. Our first step says to undo addition subtraction. So I'm going to draw my line. And so I've got to get rid of addition or subtraction first, so plus 8. Well, we know how to get rid of addition. We do subtraction. So I'm going to subtract 8. Well, whatever I do on one side, I got to do to the other. So my 8's go away, and I'm left with 6x equals 50 minus 8. We can borrow, and we get 42. Now I'm down to a one step, just like what we did in number 2 up here. 6 times x. To get rid of multiplication, remember a number and a letter touching is multiplication. We divide. 6 divided by 6 is 1x. But whatever I do to one side, I got to do to the other. And 42 divided by 6, that's a fact we should know, is 7. All right, let's try our next problem. 2n minus 5 equals 11. 2n minus 5 equals 11. I draw my line. We undo addition or subtraction first, so I have a minus 5. To get rid of a minus 5, we add 5. 11 plus 5 is 16. A negative 5 and a plus 5 goes away. And I'm left with 2n. A number and a letter touching means multiplication. So I've got to divide by 2 on both sides to get n equals 8. Good. I think you're ready to try the next one on your own. Let's try the next one. 13 equals negative 4k plus 9. At this time, I want you to pause it and try this one on your own. Once you're ready, push play to move on. It says undo addition and subtraction first. So I have a plus 9. So I need to subtract 9 to get rid of it. Positive 9 and negative 9 goes away. I'm left with negative 4k. And on this side, I'm left with 13 minus 9 is 4. Now, a number and a letter touching is multiplication. To undo multiplication, I divide. 4 divided by -4 is a -1. Good job. And our last one here, once again, you can try this one. This one's a little tricky. So, when we look here, think about our coefficients that we've talked about. If we went keep, change, opposite, that is really a -3 there. So now we can go ahead and start that. This is a +7. To get rid of a +7, we subtract 7 from both sides. I'm left with -3y. Borrow. To get 14 minus 7 is 7. 27. Now, I have to divide to get rid of the -3, because a letter and a number touching is multiplication. To undo it is division. 27 divided by -3 is -9. You're now ready to try some on your own. You are going to move over to your left side to practice the next steps.